welcome back. Week 7 of the college football season is upon us, and we had some notable movement in the AP poll this week. Penn State and Texas both officially become unranked. Penn State's drop from 6 to unranked is one of the highest, or one of the biggest drops over 99-year period in the AP poll. And Texas is close to that biggest fall off, dropping from 9 to unranked. I could see why they both get dropped out. I think Texas's was a little harsh, but Penn State I think is very, very reasonable. Just shocking to see.
Yeah, kind of like what you said. I can completely understand Penn State's loss at home against Oregon, which is fine, and then just to go on the road to UCLA, not a hard environment, and then to lose to an interim head coach. And a play caller that didn't know how to call the plays. It's just bad. But like you said, Texas, I can't get 100% behind, just because it was Florida on the road. I know they're 1-3, but they're still a decent team. But I think on a normal college football week, Texas for sure would be in there, but Penn State maybe not. But the main thing about this week was there was just so many upsets. From in the bottom of the AP poll, like we had Cincinnati beat Iowa State, you had Memphis move in because they were bowl eligible, so stuff like that I think is really ultimately why both of them are unranked now.
Yeah, just one last thing on the Penn State game that is completely on James Franklin. You're in the college football era where you can have 2 losses and still get in, and 2 losses and you can still win it all. But I think the message he gave the team was wrong. And the fact that I would guess he told the team, like, hey, we have a chance to do something special even with a loss, and you can even have 2 losses. But I think he didn't harp on the fact enough that we need to go win this game. And the most important game is the next game. And so I think they got a little caught up in the Oregon loss, and they kind of got a little caught up in their chances because I felt like there's a lot of pressure around this program, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to live up to that hype and pressure. So I think that one's completely on James Franklin. The Oregon loss, you can blame on James Franklin, but so what? The UCLA loss is totally on James Franklin. So let's move into the battle of the Big Ten. The battles in the Big Ten. We've got Ohio State going into Illinois.
Yeah, I think this is a great matchup. Much more anticipated at the beginning of the year as Illinois was higher ranked, and they lost Indiana, as we know. Got smoked by Indiana, actually. But I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be – it might be a bigger test for Ohio State than Texas at home just because of the fact that it was the first game of the year. Both teams were just figuring things out. I think this is going to be a much better game than expected. It's in Champaign. Those fans are going to be excited. This is the best their football team has been in years, and they're excited to not give a friendly welcome to the Buckeyes. But I think the big keys is Ohio State needs to shut down Luke Altmaier fast. Pretty sure he doesn't have an interception. I know he didn't have one going into the week. But, yeah, I think the OSU defense needs to do what they've done all season. They've been averaging 5 points allowed. If you only average 5 points, you're not going to lose many football games, if any. So,
yeah, I don't think it'll be a harder test than Texas. I think it'll be a different test than Texas. The test with Texas was you've got the number 1 team coming into your own stadium. You're coming off a national championship, and you're starting a rookie quarterback. So that was the test then. The test here is how can you do on the road. We saw they were able to handle it well at Washington, but obviously different type of atmosphere here. We've got a top 25 matchup, so a little bit of hype with that. And like you said, these Illinois fans are really excited. So, and not to mention they've got the number 1 team in the country coming in. So I think it's a different test than the Texas game, but it still is a pretty big test for this Ohio State team. I think Illinois just needs to rely on their running back duo in the backfield. We've got Valentine and I believe it's Fagan in the backfield, both about 300 yards. And this is really the first test Ohio State has faced on the ground. And we've seen a little bit of good run game here and there from their opponents. We saw a little bit of a good run game from the Texas's offense and somewhat from Washington. But outside of that, not much struggles for this defense. And then I think you just have to eliminate third down. Illinois is not great on the line, and we saw that in the game versus Indiana. They gave up 7 sacks, which is a lot. Ohio State has a good line, just like Indiana, if not a better line. And so if Indiana can get 7 sacks, Ohio State can get 7 sacks, then I think the way you just avoid the sacks is stay out of third downs. Because when you're in third and long, it's an obvious passing situation, and every good defensive coordinator is going to send more than just 4 on an obvious passing situation. So I think that's a key. And then for Ohio State, same game plan as always. Give it to number 4 if he's not open. Give it to Cardinal Tate. For some reason, he's also not open. Just run the ball with Bo Jackson. So it's going to be hard to stop this Ohio State team, as we've seen. And I think if Illinois wins, they're going to have to play a really, really clean and impressive game.
Yeah, I think just to finish that up, I think it was good for the offense to unleash a little bit on Minnesota. I think the coaching staff has done a great job transitioning quarterbacks here. I think they did a great job at managing Julian Sang so far, and I think they did a great job letting him let it go against Minnesota. You saw a lot of deep balls, and I think that's just letting him build up his confidence just in time for this Illinois game. So I think it'll be a great game. I think it's going to be I think it'll be an action-packed game, but it won't be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that about Julian Sang, because to be honest, through these first 4 games, all he really did was throw it 10 yards and in, which not complaining about. But at the same time, you've got talented wide receivers, so let's use them. And I do like how they used him against Minnesota. Moving on to Indiana and Oregon, we've got a top 10 matchup here in Eugene, and just going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, so Oregon coming off their win against Penn State. Indiana, notable win, like we said, was against Illinois. I think this could be the biggest game of the year for both teams. I honestly think this is a bigger game than the Penn State game in hindsight. Obviously, at the time, it was a bigger game for Oregon, but this Indiana team's impressed me. I was a little worried about how they would do this year after their college football playoff run, and with a team like Indiana playing the way they did, you'd be like, that's the best they can do. But they continue to impress. Absolutely throttled Illinois. So I think that gives you some hope against this Oregon team, but it's hard to go into Eugene and win. I think Indiana needs to play a great game. Kurt Cignetti needs to coach a great game, and I think it's going to come down to who can call a better game and who can coach a better game.
Yeah, coaching's a big factor. Dan Lanning's one of the better coaches in the country. Same with Kurt, but I think he doesn't have the respect that Dan Lanning does yet for obvious reasons. Dan Lanning's 3-4 in games versus the top 10, and Kurt's only 1-2 at Indiana. He's 1-2. He got his first win against Illinois this year, but suffered 2 losses last year to Ohio State and Notre Dame, both by a pretty wide margin. So
those were the guys that ended up in the Natty. So
yeah, but still, you would like to at least have them stay close in those games. I think Indiana just needs to keep doing what they've been doing. They've been great on third downs. They're 58% on third downs, which is phenomenal. However, on the road, third downs become a lot harder. So you got to deal with the environment, the pressure, and just third downs aren't easy. And I think Oregon just needs to continue to doing what they've been doing on offense, controlling the game. We saw them at Penn State. Looked like they had control of that game the whole game from the very first snap they did, which is really impressive going into that environment. So I think this is going to be a great matchup overall, but I'd be very shocked if this thing comes down to the wire. I think Oregon is going to run away with it towards the end of the game.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, they got an early lead against Penn State and kind of let it up a little bit. I think if they get out to a great start, I think they're going to run with it. I think they're going to take what they learned and what they maybe did wrong against Penn State, and I think they're going to learn from that and implement that this week.
Yeah, and I think Penn State has a better defense than Indiana, so I would say that
you would hope.
Yeah, you would hope, but I would just say that if Oregon can put up, what did they put up, 40?
Something
with against Penn State, high number. If they can put up 40 against Penn State, they can do
especially
some damage.
At home.
They can do some damage against this Indiana team. Let's move over to the SEC. We've got Alabama headed into Missouri, another top 15 matchup. Bama needs to be able to stop this run game of Missouri's. So far, they gave up 227 yards to Georgia, which was a 6.9 average, and then 136 to Vandy. However, that was a 7.6 average. So kind of questioning why Vandy didn't continue to run the ball, especially because they ended up losing. But besides the fact, Missouri has a great run game as well, and that's really their strength. And if Alabama can seal that weakness for this game, I think they're going to easily run away with this game. However, if Missouri can figure out how to exploit this run game of theirs, they're going to have a pretty good chance of winning this thing at home. They can just burn clock the whole time. And I honestly think the best way to beat Alabama, if you're Missouri, is keep their offense off the field.
Yeah, for sure. I think Bama's the better football team. I think they've been the better football team against all their opponents. I think it just comes down to if they can execute and if they can call a good game. I think this is another key game. I said this last week, but if Bama can continue to pile up these games, these 15 to 20 ranked team games, I think this is huge for their team. I think it's huge for just their program. Like we said last week, their program's kind of fell apart, and DeBoer and this team's trying to build it back up. And they started in the right direction against Vandy last week, again, and also for their playoff run. Another 4. If they win this game, I could see them moving up to 5 or something on the road. So yeah, I think like you said, Missouri needs to keep their offense off the field because that's their best point. I think Ty Simpson needs to keep having good games, take care of the ball, and get it to your playmakers, and then just really focus on stopping the run on defense.
Yeah, I mean, every ranked win you can get is key, especially in this college football era where 12 teams get in. So if you can just win, you'll be fine. And then when they have a number next to their name, it helps even more.
For sure.
Moving on to the Red River Rivalry. This is our last matchup that we're covering. We're still waiting to hear if John Mateer is healthy and available. That'd be a huge advantage to Texas if he wasn't. We saw the backup Michael Hawkins Jr. against Kent State this last week for Oklahoma. And he wasn't terrible. He just wasn't great. He was 14 for 24, 162 yards in the air, 58.3 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions though, and then a rating of 156.3. So not phenomenal, but for your first start, pretty solid. Just this next start's coming up against Texas in a rivalry game. So I think Texas would love to see Michael Hawkins in the backfield. I think they'd love to be able to go after a young quarterback in Hawkins. But I think if Mateer plays, it's still going to be a good game. I just think they're not going to have as many problems.
Yeah, I think no matter who plays at quarterback, I don't think Texas loses this game at all.
Really?
Just because of the fact that they're coming off of a loss. A lot of teams. I say
it is do or die for Texas.
I say this, but Penn State didn't do this. A lot of teams, when they come off of a loss, tend to play a lot better. They tend to find their weaknesses. They tend to tune it up, and they tend to play, honestly, with no fear. And that's what Texas needs to play with 2 losses. They need to win out for sure, and they need to beat their opponents by a lot. But yeah, I don't think there's any way they lose. Could be wrong. It ultimately comes down to if Arch plays well or not. He hasn't lived up to the expectations. There was videos that his shoulder was hurting him. Whatever it is, if he's got to be better. The team needs to be better as a whole. I get it. It's on the road to Florida, but you can't lose that game, especially with the games they have coming up.
I mean, I just think it is definitely do or die for this Texas team. So they would love to see Mateer not in the backfield, but at the same time, no matter who is in the backfield, I don't care if it's Chad Powers for all I care. They need to figure out how to win this football game because you're not getting into the college football playoffs with 3 losses unless absolute mayhem ensues in this college football realm.
Well, at this point, you just got to take it one game at a time, slowly work your way back into the conversation. You got to take care of your business and let other people help you out a little bit. And I mean, if they're not out of it, if they win out, they're probably more than likely in.
Oh,
the committee's going to put.
They're going to go in.
The committee's going to put them in. It's Texas. I'm sure they have a good schedule left. They're in the SEC, so if they win out, they're going to get in. But they need to just take it one game at a time and just beat who's in front of them.
Yeah, and it starts right here with getting a win against, I believe, number 9 Oklahoma. Could be wrong on that
It'd
ranking.
be big.
But top 10 team nonetheless. Neutral site, so better than a win at home. But either way,
Worse than a win on the road, though.
yeah. Either way, though, they need to get this win, and it's now or never for Texas. But at the same time, for Oklahoma, it's another great resume boosting win. They got a good win against Auburn. I believe that was their only ranked win of the season so far, right?
I think so.
If I'm blanking on that, that's my mistake. But I believe so. So this would be another great resume win for Oklahoma. Some great momentum to take into the back half of the season. But nonetheless, going to be another great edition of the Red River Rivalry. But that's all we have. So let us know what you guys think about these upcoming games. College football is shaping into yet another great year and exciting to watch. But thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.